Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear my voice?
Yes.
All right. Today we will starting the seminar, webinar seminar. There is Azalea with her seminar, her paper about subtitling strategies of sarcasm, authored by Candler in France season 5, and also there's Puspita papers about equivalence in the English translation of Japanese expression in Tohari's Ronggeng Duku Maruk. And also in here we have judges. There is Fajri and Fena as judges here. Okay, for the first presenter, Azalea, the floor is yours. You can start right now.
Okay, is my voice clear enough? Can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. For today's seminar session, I'm going to talk about subtitle strategies found in Indonesian subtitles of sarcasm, authored by General Ping in French TV series season 5. So as we know, during this pandemic, cinematic works are on high demands since the beginning of 2020. And during this pandemic, video on-demand platform, or you might be familiar with the name of movie streaming platforms such as Netflix, iFlix, and many more is rising in Indonesia. So this platform, they provide range entertainment from all over the world. And in my opinion, subtitle became one of the most important aspects in cinematic work. So subtitle does not only become a transcript dialogue presented on the screen, it also became the media of the new branch of interlingual translation, rendering the dialogue into other languages. And it brings the works become enjoyable for the audience all around the world. So yeah, and translating subtitle, in my personal opinion, is another level of translating text, because if we take a look at academic or legal text, they tend to keep the language straight in line with what the meaning, what the message, because they avoid using language that can be misinterpreted. While in literature works such as movies, the language use is a little bit more tricky. Usually the language is added with some special effect in the language style, or usually what is written is not really what it is, not always what is meant. It can become so much more, or it can become the opposite of the text. So for this presentation, the discussion will be focusing on the sarcasm utterance only. So the object of this research is this American sitcom, Friends TV series. This sitcom tells the story of a group of 6 friends live in Manhattan, struggling with work, love, and friendship. The first episode of this series is first aired in 1994, and the show ended in 2004. This series is considered as one of the most popular TV series. It ranked as number 21 on the TV Guide's 50 greatest TV shows all time. So why I think this series is the most suitable for this research is because one of the main characters, Chandler Bing, is well known as for his use of sarcasm. So actually, he used sarcasm as a coping mechanism after his parents divorced when he was a child, and after that, he always almost used sarcasm in every situation, whether it is a joke or an urgent matter. For this research, the data will be taken from an author subtitle by Netflix, and the sarcasm was indicated by the existence of the love of the live audience and the special tones that Chandler used when he says something sarcastic. So this research is aimed to answer this problem. What is the subtitle strategy used in Indonesian subtitle of sarcasm uttered by Chandler in France season 5? So before we jump to the analysis, I'm going to give some brief introduction of the theory applied in this research. So Gottlieb defines subtitles as the transcription of the dialogue in audiovisual media. It usually placed at the bottom of the screen, or sometimes it also can be placed at the top. He also proposed subtitle strategies into 10 categories. The first one is expansion, and then transcription, transfer, dislocation, imitation, paraphrase, condensation, decimation, deletion, analysis, resignation. And now we move to the data analysis. So there are 6 categories found in this research, and each datum will be presenting each group. So there are 6 data presented in this presentation. So this is the first datum. It classified as transcription strategy. Transcription is defined as using irregular speech in either the source text or the target text. So the words "yeah" in source text is defined as an expression of disgust by Merriam-Webster, and it tended to be replaced in target text by the word "bleh," but the word "bleh" itself is defined as a feeling of bored or tired also by Merriam-Webster. So the submaker used foreign words as the target text. So yeah, it's considered as a transcription. So because it is a regular speech in Indonesian. The second datum is Easy Martina, and it is translated into okay, Santella Martina. And in this case, we are focusing on the word Martina. So Chandler called his girlfriend as Martina because she was so intense at the tennis game. Martina is an American tennis athlete, and the submaker used the exact word Martina in the Indonesian translation without changing anything, like the option of choose an Indonesian athlete name to make it more familiar to Indonesian audience or anything. So this strategy is considered as imitation. The next data is considered as decimation strategy. So the words conference is omitted in the Indonesian subtitle, but the word has been mentioned before, and the demonstrative itu also is already completed the job. So the omission of conference is considered as a mark level of imitation and is considered as decimation. The next datum is condensation strategy. So the word cheese is doesn't really have an literate meaning, but it brings the effect of irritation in speech. And the submaker omitted the word cheese in the target text. So the Indonesian subtitle does not have word to replace it, make it the subtitle does not have if the strong effect as the original script. And the next data is considered as, the next data is paraphrase. So the target text is considered to bring the right meaning as the source text, but the submaker did change the structure of the text. So the syntactic structure is changed from focusing on how they will going to freak her, will freak the grandmas into the grandmas will be freaking out. The focus of the text is changing, so it's considered as paraphrasing. And the last data is considered as transfer. So the text, all aspect of the text is translated correctly, and it translated without any changing or omitting or adding something to the text. So it's considered as transfer. So this is the total amount of the strategy found in the study. The most strategies used in the study is transfer. It found 40 strategy found in this research, and then paraphrase. And then the rest is found with the amount of below 5. So from this research, it can conclude that transfer become the most used strategy found in the research, and the use of transfer strategy is felt as the safest way because the subtitle maker don't have to adjust things and have the opportunity of being wrong. And at the end, it can be concluded that the Indonesian subtitle considered as a good translation since it provides meaning correctly. But in my personal opinion, there is still many opportunities that can make the subtitle more likely. Thank you. That's all from me.
Okay, thank you, Azalea, for your paper. You did a great job today. Now it's time for the judges to give maybe comments, suggestions to Azalea's paper. Okay, Fajri and Fena, the time is yours. We will the first. Okay, Fajri, the first. Okay, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Pius, for the time, and Azalea for presenting the great presentation research. And I will give you 2 questions. The first one is, why are you choose sarcasm as the object of your research? And the next one is, in your paper, you mentioned that there are 3 points of view in subtitling, which are intralingual subtitles, interlingual subtitles, and bilingual subtitles. Can you explain more about those 3 subtitling? Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to answer the first question, why I choose sarcasm as my interest in this research. So literature works does have so many language style, and I think sarcasm is one of the most interesting because it tells what the opposite of what it really wants to tell. So I think to translate the text will be so much harder than translating other texts. And for the second question, I'm going to look at my paper first. Okay, so yes, I read the theories of three point of view of translation. So from what I can interpret from the article that I read, intralingual subtitles is the subtitles that created within the same language, like when an American movies created, they also created the English subtitles. So the subtitles is within the same language, and then interlingual subtitles and bilingual subtitles, I feel kind of blurry. The interlingual subtitles is the subtitles that is translated into another language for sure. But in bilingual subtitles, I'm still not for sure, but I think the subtitles that have both the original language and the target language in the subtitles. That's it. That's all that I can answer from your second question.
Okay. Thank you, Azalea. Yes, correct. Clear.
Okay, so I'm so sorry because I can open the camera because I'm in working. But the first question what I want to ask to Alia is in the term 3, now table number 3, it is explained that categories as decimation, but the word converse is gone. It is not translated into the target text. So why is not categories as deletion, and why categories as decimation? And the second question is there any purpose why you choose the movie, and what's the purpose in your for future research? That's all. Is it clear?
Yeah. So the first question is why I considered it as decimation rather than deletion is because in the scene they already mentioned conference before, and it doesn't really change the meaning extremely because there are demonstrative itu in the target text, so the meaning doesn't really change so extreme. I think it is the omission is a big deal, so I said it as a decimation. The second question, why I choose this series as my object of study is because I watch this movie this series like every day, so I'm familiar with the context of the sarcasm, and I think it is a good decision to choose what are you familiar with to start a research. I think that is a good decision, a good answer to your question, Fena.
Okay, about the deletion, but the word converse is gone. It should be can categories as deletion. Can you please give explanation more clear about why you choose decimation more than deletion? Because it's really clear that the word is gone. It's not translated into target text. So why?
Maybe you cannot accept my analysis because you just saw the text that I presented to you, but watched I remember the whole sentence, the whole text, and the subtitle already mentioned conferensi in the previous sentence. So when he omitted the word, so it's more like an efficiency rather than effectiveness in the target text. Is that enough?
Okay, I get it. Thank you, Leah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for the judges in giving the questions. And also there is questions from the audience. To the audience, you can put your questions in the chat if you can talk in here. Okay, there is a 3 person giving you questions here. The first from Yabima. About the why you choosing the subtitling strategies of the sarcasm uttered by Candor in Friends season 5 as your title. Is there any particular reason for this? And also, why did you choose season 5 over the others?
So okay.
Okay, sorry. Before we go on, we still have another judge, Amasia.
Amazia have did the
Question.
sir.
Huh?
Amazia has have did it.
Okay.
Okay, Azalea, you can continue it.
Okay, so why I choose the topic, I already answered before, the question before. And why did I specifically choose season 5 over the other season is because in season 5, in the season is focusing on Chandler having the first serious relationship, the first adult serious relationship, and as someone that have a childhood traumatic, as his parent divorced, his first serious relationship is making him uncomfortable that he is use sarcasm more in this season than any other season. That is the reason why I choose specifically for season 5.
Okay, thank you, Leah. And there is also questions from Evelyn about, you mentioned that you think there is more opportunity to make the translations more lively. Can you please explain what you mean by this and provide one example?
As I mentioned before, that in this research, it is found that transfer is the most used strategy. And I think it is the safest way because the subtitle maker does not have to adjust things. They just have to, they have to choose the right exact translation, but they don't play with the effect nor the culture gap that make the subtitle is more lively in Indonesian culture. Like one of the example is there is a text said Haba Baba birthday. So Haba Baba is a popular gum in American, but Indonesian we don't have Haba Baba, and Haba Baba birthday also rhyming with each other, and it translated as Haba Baba, semoga ulang tahunmu Haba Baba. It doesn't make any sense. Semoga ulang tahunmu Haba Baba. Haba Baba doesn't make any sense in Indonesian culture. The audience is unfamiliar with the Haba Baba gum. So yes, it is translated correctly, but the effect of the sentence, the sarcasm is not brought wholesome. Is that answering your question, May?
Okay. Let's continue it with current questions. There is two questions here. First, is there any beneficial or advantage in analyzing sarcasm utterance? And the second question is the sarcasm only uttered by the Candler?
Okay, so I think it is important to analyzing the sarcasm translation, because sarcasm use a complex culture, situational context, and it is hard to translate it because you have to know the context, the situational context, and the culture within the society to translate it. And it is really hard to choose the right replacement in the target text. That's why the transfer strategy, I think I consider the transfer strategy as the safest strategy to translate sarcasm, because they don't really render the culture and the situational context within the sarcasm. They rely on the audience to understand the context within the sarcasm themselves. And why in the series almost every character uttering joke and sarcasm, not only uttered by Chandler, but the Chandler character is well known for his use of sarcasm, because he stated himself that he used sarcasm as a coping mechanism after his parent divorce. Okay, that is my answer for Karen's question.
Okay, for the last questions is from Jessica. There's one question. You mentioned in your paper that transfer strategy is not the most suitable strategies to translate the sarcasm. So in your opinion, which subtitling strategies is the most suitable for translating sarcasm?
Okay, based on my research, I cannot answer the most suitable strategy to translating sarcasm, because I don't find any exact translation that have satisfied me that this is this translation is so creative. Like there is a translation in Netflix, I forgot the movie, but it is about beatboxing, and it used Indonesian reference like I don't really remember, Cimahi Cibubur or something. They use Indonesian reference to translate the text, so that it makes me as the audience satisfied to watch the movie as read the subtitle, because it's so I'm so related to the reference.
Jessica, is that the answer? Alea giving the answer of your questions? Okay, thank you. Lea, I'm sorry, there is one question again from Michela. The question is for datum number 2. The name Martina in SD, which is turned out to be using the imitation strategy, but why you didn't analyze the word easy in the SD that translate into okay, santai lah. Is this also using the imitation strategy or not? Can you explain about it?
Because I presenting each datum to represent one category, that's why I choose this datum to representing the imitation strategy, and that's why I said it in the beginning that we are going to focus on the word Martina, not the whole text, because the whole text have several strategy, and I just want to make this datum representing the imitation strategy. Okay, Santella, it have a different strategy in this case. Okay is an, I think it is an expansion strategy because it added some words in the target text. That is all I can ensure for myself.
Okay, thank you, Leah, for answering the questions from the audience. For the audience, if you have questions for Leah, you can put it in the chat, and we will asking in after Puspita's presentation. Okay, we will continue to Puspita. Her paper about equivalence in the English translation of Japanese expression in Toharis Ronggeng Dukuh Paru. For Puspita, the floor is yours.
Okay, so my study or research is about the equivalence in the English translation of Japanese expression in Toharis Ronggeng Dukuh Paru. So translation has been instrumental in transmitting culture, sometimes under unequal conditions. Responsible for these languages have been in contact with each other. In translation, many terms often is understood in its contextual meaning. Therefore, to produce a good translation, the right equivalence is required. In this study or research, it is about the equivalence in the Japanese expression in the novel Ronggeng Dukuh Paru, and in the English translation titled The Dancer. So the research is to find whether there is any change in the meaning based on the equivalent that used in the Japanese expression. And this research method is using qualitative approach by collecting data through library research. I use a qualitative approach because the research or study is revolves around the study of the meaning of the Japanese expression. And for the library research is because I collect the data by using the novel, like directly from the physical books. And in the study, Japanese expressions translation equivalence will be used is from the Newmark's equivalence. There is 2 equivalence that proposed by Newmark. So originally this equivalence is actually a simpler form from the NIDA's formal and dynamic equivalence. And Newmark proposed a simple term that is the communicative translation equivalence and the semantic translation equivalence. So the communicative translation equivalence purpose is to create the similar meaning with the same specific cultural context as from the source text. Well, for the semantic translation equivalence purpose is to create the similar meaning, but within the same semantic and syntactic structure, and might be added some foreign terms. And this is the novel that I used. The first one is Rowing Duku Paru, Amatohari, for the source text. So the one that I used is published in 2003. And actually this book was first published in the past into 3 books. The first one is titled Rowing Duku Paru, which published in 1982. And the second one is the Lintang Kemukus Dini Hari, published in 1985. And the last one is Jentera Biang Lala, published in 1986. Because of some revisions, the novel later published into 1 book until now. And for the target text, the title The Dancer, it is translated by Rini T.A. Leslov in English, and it is published in 2003. The story involves around Srintil, the main female character, that's later become a Runggeng or a dancer in the Paruk village. So for the data analysis, I will use 3 data in this presentation. The first one is from the table for data number 4. In the source text, page 12, aku bersedia membuatkan badungan untukmu, sambung Rasus menawarkan jasa. In the target text, page 7, I would be glad to make badungan for you, continued Rasus, offering his services. We can see that the Javanese expression is contained in the word badungan. So badungan is a crown made from jackfruit leaves. If it's hard to understand, it is similar to like a crown made from flowers. And in the target text, you can see that the translated is literally translated into badungan, and this translation doesn't have any loss in meaning, so the equivalence is categorized into the communicative translation equivalence. And for the second data is table 5, data number 4. In the source text, page 20, sehabis pertunjukan nanti aku mau minta izin kepada Nyai Kartareja. Kemudian in the target text, page 17, after the performance, I'm gonna talk to Mrs. Kartareja. In the Javanese expression is contained in the title, like in the source text is in the title Nyai, and the target text is translated into Mrs. So Nyai is in the Javanese culture is usually a title belong to a respected woman or a woman that has a certain standing in the society. And well, in the target text, Mrs. is literally meaning as usually an elderly woman or a married woman. So there's a loss of meaning, specifically in the cultural context meaning that's exists in the source text. Therefore, in this data, the equivalence that used is the semantic translation equivalence, since even though it has the similar meaning, but it has not maintained the same exact cultural context in the source text. However, has the same semantic and syntactic structure as the translation message is have contain the gender, like the same gender meaning in the source text. In the table data number 2, the source text page 11 is orang-orang tua bertembang kidung dan anak-anak menyanyikan lagu-lagu Ronggen. And in the target text page 6, the people of Paruk knew only 2 kinds of music, the classical kidung poetry that old people chant, and the songs of Ronggen dancer that were popular among the children. The Javanese expression can be found in the word kidung, and in the target text is the classical kidung poetry. We can see that kidung letter in the target text is literally translated as kidung, but it is with the addition from the classical and poetry. So, in my opinion, I think the both of the equivalent is used in this data. Like the kidung is that literally translated and still contains the same meaning as the source text, but it is added with classical and poetry, that is the foreign term, but it is still like have similar meaning with kidung, as poetry and kidung is a certain kind of text that have similar type, like they use like specific word formation, structure, and others. Kidung is like a certain text in the Javanese culture that usually to be sung. And next, in conclusion, in this research, 2 kinds of equivalence value map used to see the impact of the equivalence application in target text. Some use the semantic translation equivalence, some use the communicative translation, and some use both equivalence, as the target text translation equivalence doesn't only contains the cultural term, but also the foreign term. So in this research, it can be concluded that some use of the equivalence can resulted in the loss of meaning, like in the data number 2, that the translation from nyanyi into Mrs. It in the target text, it has lost its cultural context. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Puspita, about giving your presentation here. Even though there is a little laggy, but you have tried your best in here in your presentations. Okay. You have did a great presentation here. Also, we continue to the judges here. The judges, you can giving your questions, suggestions, comments, or anything here. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Pius, for the opportunity. And thank you, Puspita, for delivering your great presentation. And I will ask some question for you. The first question is, what is the difference between your research and the translation equivalence? And the second question is how you analyze your data. Thank you, Puspita.
I'm sorry, I'm quite lazy, so can you repeat the first question?
Okay, the first question is, what is the difference between your research and the previous research? Is it clear?
The difference between my research and the previous research?
Yeah.
I mean the previous research on the cultural term, or what?
From the equivalence, like
the other research, or
Yes. The other research.
The difference is on the I research on the specific language, that is the Javanese expression of this for the question, the first question. And for the second question, the way I analyze the data is first I collect the data from the novel, and the second one is I look for the meaning that I understand, as Japanese is my first language, and maybe if there's any other meaning, I search upon it, and later I look for the target text translation on that Japanese terms and analyze it whether it is belong to the communicative translation equivalence or the semantic translation equivalence. That's it. Is it clear?
Yes, is it clear? It's clear.
Thank you.
Thank you, Puspita.
Okay, Puspita, isn't my voice clear?
Yes.
Okay, the first question is why you choose the story, the book, and then the purpose in your future research is what? And the second question is, can you show me the table number 2?
Oh, I will answer the first and second question first. So I choose this story because it contains a lot of Japanese expression, and there's I found that Japanese traditional song, or you can call it as tembang, that's in the source text. It is included, but in the target text it is actually not translated. And I'm sorry, I didn't include this in this paper because I haven't researched upon it. And for the second question, sorry.
For the second question, can you show me first the table number 2 for your analysis?
Oh,
Share screen. For the table number 2, the source text is orang-orang tua berkembang kidung dan anak-anak menyanyikan lagu-lagu ronggeng. And the target text is, I thought that is a lot of a difference in the source text. Why? Is that you have any problem in your analysis or what? Because you didn't submit your paper too in the group. So I can analyze your paper more, and then in the table is have a differences in source text and target text.
Oh, so I found that in the English version of novel, there's a lot of sentence that different in from the source text, like maybe 2 sentences. Usually they combine it into one, like this one. Sorry. Yes, that's it.
So is there any the right analysis for the table number 2? And you have 1 week for you to submit paper in the group, like Gerald. If you have any mistake, you can submit in the group so we can analyze it together. But you didn't submit the paper.
Yes, I'm very sorry for that. Because I changed the topic. So the first one is actually focused on the cultural term, and that there's actually a real similar paper, like from like this, the one that I researched. So I changed it into more Javanese expression. And I like in the cultural term, actually, there's just like categorization of the cultural term. And in this one, I didn't include it because it is more focused on the equivalence of the Japanese term instead of the cultural term. And I'm very sorry for the paper that I didn't submit. If you want to have look for it more, maybe I can send it later. I'm very sorry.
Yeah, submit in the group so I can read and then give you a score about your paper. And then in the table number, in the table 2, data number 2, give me example, give me explanation more about, so Kidung is, in the target text, is the classical Kidung poetry, like that?
Yes, it is really like that. In the from the novel, that's the translation. There's no any error, so it's really like that.
I thought that there is error because in the source text is only Kidung, but the target text it's update the classical Kidung poetry. How about that?
No, it is not an error. It is like giving more explanation, like to make the reader in the English language is having more understanding of what is Kidung. And as I mentioned before, from the semantic translation equivalence, it is actually have a similar semantic meaning, like the poetry and the Kidung is both a specific kind of text, like they have similar traits. So people in the English language can maybe have more imagination about what is Kidung if in case they are confused. And there's actually another data that I included in my paper. Sorry, I will send it later. That in the source text, it is only kind, but in the target text, the translator translated it into kind batik or batik kind. I'm sorry. So I think it is like just to give the reader more understanding about what is this term that the source text writer use, like in the source text that kind is that used by Ronggeng. That's a certain traditional dance in the Java. It is like also a specific kind of fabric, like batik is also a cultural have a cultural meaning itself. So actually, I think it is not an error and it is a correct translation because it gives similar meaning, like just to give a clear imagination for the reader to understand about what is this kind and Kidung in the story. That's it.
Okay, thank you Puspita. Don't forget to submit your paper in the group, yeah. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Okay, thank you, Vena and Fajri, for giving your assessment in judging the Puspita's paper. And also, there is also questions from the audience. They are from Equivalence and also Yemima. The first is from Yemima. She have two questions for you. You can open it in chat box if you want to read it. Is there any reason why you use Newmark's equivalence theory aside that it is a simple form? And the second, is it enough to employ Newmark's equivalence theory for your future thesis?
I use Thank you for the question. I use Newmark's equivalence theory because of the parameter that there's several differences between the semantic and the communicative. So, and there's some mention about the culture meaning that in the communicative usually they use the exact cultural meaning for the equivalence, and in the semantic equivalence they use it is usually used like maybe added foreign terms. I think it is enough to employ in Newmark equivalence theory because it has a pretty clear explanation on the categorization of the equivalence. Is it clear enough?
Okay, thank you, Yemima, for giving the questions. For the second audience is from Evelyn. There is two questions too. The first, why did you choose the analyze the equivalence rather than the errors for the examples? And the second, what challenge do you find in the analyzing the data related to the Javanese expressions?
I choose to analyze the equivalence rather than the errors because I don't think there's a lot of errors in translation in the target text, and for the equivalence, I want to know how the translation is the translation of the Javanese expression itself. And for the challenge, the challenge that I find in this in analyzing this is like maybe in the limited search of the Javanese expression, because I tried to search for the Javanese dictionary and I just found like the really thin dictionary, and if maybe I have difficulty in understand the term in there, like in the tembang that use a lot of traditional category of the language. That's it. Sorry, is it clear enough? Thank you.
Thank you, Evelyn, for giving the questions. Is there any audience who wants to giving questions, maybe, or comment or suggestions to Puspita? Or is there no questions or suggestions? Thank you for the all who is participating here, especially for the presenter for giving the presentations well in here, and also the judges giving the questions, maybe questions or comment or suggestions for both of the presenters here. And also we can closing this seminar here. Okay, we can back to Sir Harris as the host of this meeting here. I'm B as your moderator. See you in other seminar.